This is Darth Vader Unlimited. Yes, that is me. And I'm trying to get the sound just right. Hopefully, it's not too loud. Hopefully, you guys can hear me. Hopefully, there are you guys out there. And there goes the radiator making noise. Hopefully, there are you guys. Oh, let me mute this. And again, I have no idea why it is being read sideways on my computer. Hopefully, you guys aren't looking at it sideways, are you? If it's sideways, please let me know. As I said, it is sideways on my screen. Oops. All right. So, looks like there are two people waiting. Thank you for the thumbs up, whoever that is. And I have a question. Am I sideways to you? Because on my regular camera, I'm regular, but looking at it on my monitor, I'm like side. If I'm sideways, please let me know, and I'll try to make an adjustment. All right, let me do something real fast. Did that fix it? Oh well. So it'll be a more condensed screen. Anyway, welcome to Darth Vader Unlimited. I was wondering what that band was, but that's from the thermals I have on. Why am I wearing thermals on live? I'll tell you why. Just for fun, okay? I purchased a Darth Vader Halloween costume, okay? It's not the movie accurate costume, the one that will cost in the range of probably $1,000. But it looks like this. It's basically a full body suit, basically. I mean, it doesn't come with gloves and it doesn't come with boots. It doesn't come with the shin guards, it comes with everything else. And I figured I'm going to do a suit up video and put on the Darth Vader Halloween costume because I did not wear it on Halloween because I don't really celebrate Halloween, okay? I do like dressing up, but I just don't get down with Halloween like that. So I appreciate whoever left a thumbs up. Please share the video. Let them know that I'm live. All right, so as part of that, not only am I going to put on the the Halloween costume and maybe finish the rest of the stream inside the costume, not in the mask, because I don't have a ventilation system for either the Black Series helmet or the little face mask that came with it. So I won't be able to see anything. I won't be able to type anything. So I'll just leave just the suit on, and that's it. I put on the Black Series helmet with the costume, and there was so much fogged up on my lens. There was so much fog in my lens. And I usually wear my glasses underneath the mask. Not only were they fogged up, but also the lens, and I was blind. And I actually started to hyperventilate because I couldn't see and I could barely breathe. Like, it just goes to show, like, if there really was a Darth Vader character, you could see why he hates everything. Because you really have to, like, be careful how you move. You can't get too excited because your respiration is very limited. You know what I mean? Because, like, you're basically in prison, from the neck up. So anyway, we're going to talk about some projects that I have in mind, and I want to get you guys' take on it. All right? I want to hear what you guys have to say about it. And we're going to do a deep dive into arguably the greatest Star Wars movie ever made, The Empire Strikes Back. Okay? It released in 1980. It wasn't as beloved as when it first came out because the tone was so much darker than the original Star Wars. Yes, I don't call it A New Hope because it was called Star Wars when it was released. The marquee said Star Wars, didn't say A New Hope. A New Hope was added to the video release in 1981. So A New Hope, episode 4, 5, 6, that's all new stuff. Because we always know George Lucas was always tweaking stuff, okay? And it's his to tweak. So, he has the right to change it. Doesn't mean I have to. But anyway, so we're going to do a deep dive into The Empire Strikes Back. George Lucas stated that a lot of people did not like C-3PO. And it just goes to show how over time things can age either poorly or they can age well. Now, there's a lot more love for the prequel trilogy now that the sequel trilogy came out, and you're like, oh my god, where's George Lucas? You know what I mean? Because the comparisons, it's just night and day. It's like this new trilogy doesn't feel like Star Wars at all. You know what I mean? Like the core of it, the essence is not Star Wars. It's just somebody that wanted to make a Star Wars film that decided to put in all these like member berries all over it. So like, oh yeah, this definitely feels like Star Wars. And do I hate the sequel trilogy? I do not hate it. Do I dislike the sequel trilogy? Eh. Now, one of the movies, when I do the deep dive on it, I'll go into more detail. One of the movies I absolutely do not like. All right. One of the sequel films I wish never had been made. Okay. But my overall attitude was it was optimistic initially when it was announced that there's going to be a new trilogy with the backing of Disney. I'm like, okay, they can't mess this up. Boy, was I wrong. You could cue in Salacious Crumb's laugh there. Like, boy, were you wrong, buddy. Not only did they mess it up, but they've created a rift in the Star Wars fan base unlike any other. And let's be honest here, when the prequels came out, they created a rift as well. They even had a documentary called The People versus George Lucas. That's how irate some people were with the prequels. But as I said, over time, I think the prequels have become a little more, endearing to original Star Wars fans. And if you're a toxic fan, and I hate to use the word toxic because everybody else uses that word, but it's one that you can recognize and you know what it means. So I don't need to grab a thesaurus or a dictionary to explain whatever word I'm going to use. If you're a toxic fan, please just leave. And I don't mean the channel, but like if you're just a toxic person that's involved in Star Wars and you're sending people death threats, like come on. They said like Ahmed Best was getting death threats for being Jar Jar Binks. You have totally missed the boat on who George Lucas is and why Star Wars was created. So I was just thinking about this earlier today because whenever I do something about the original trilogy, it might sound like I'm slighting the prequels and the sequels, which I'm really not. I'm just talking about how great the originals are. And if I force my nostalgia on you, I'm wrong. I should not be able to look at a film and go, if you don't like it the way I like it, something's wrong with you. And we need you to stop liking whatever you like, and you have to like it the way I like it. No, that's like a prelude to fascism, according to Alan Moore, the great comic book writer. And I agree. It's like that's where a lot of like racism stems from. It's like, well, we always did things this way, but now that these people done moved in, that don't really look like us, they don't really have our same culture. They've done messed things up, and we want things the way they were back in the day. And I don't want to be a fascist. I don't want to be a racist, of course, when it comes to Star Wars. So if you like the prequels, I like the prequels as well, but if you like the sequels, you think they're the best, let's have a dialogue. Okay? Instead of me just saying, oh, you're a moron for liking them. Or you just saying, oh, you're a dinosaur, you like the original trilogy. Look at that fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. Okay, it wasn't the best, but when it came out, it was groundbreaking. A lightsaber duel. Okay? But that means nothing to you guys that are of a newer generation because you're used to flashy technology and flips and dippity-doo-dah, whatever. So instead of there being a diatribe, let's just have a dialogue. Okay? I can bring my ideas, you can bring your ideas. And guess what? You don't have to agree with my ideas. I don't have to agree with yours. But let's just have a dialogue about Star Wars. Okay? Because Star Wars is not as popular as it used to be. Back in the day, whenever you would mention Star Wars, whether it was like on the news or whether you're on a talk show, the mention of Star Wars would always elicit applause. I was watching Conan O'Brien, and this all has to do with Star Wars, okay? But I was watching Conan O'Brien. He was interviewing James Earl Jones. They were talking about Cry, the Beloved Country. This is it was a movie set that took place in South Africa during like the height of segregation. It was James Earl Jones. He was a minister, and his son killed a was he a white minister? But he was played by Richard Harris, the original Dumbledore actor from Harry Potter. So he and Richard Harris, James Earl Jones and Richard Harris were kind of the main actors. James Earl Jones is black, Richard Harris is white, and is at the height of segregation. And so Conan is talking to James Earl Jones, and he just mentions, "We remember your work in Star Wars," and the crowd erupted. This was like 1993 or 1994 when Cry the Beloved Country came out. But just the mention of Star Wars just elicits such love back in the day. It elicited applause. And remember, James Earl Jones was there to do publicity for Cry the Beloved Country, not for Star Wars, but Star Wars got a bigger reaction than everything. And then James Earl Jones went on to talk about how he gave a speech at some university. He said, I might as well have just done it all in the Darth Vader voice. They would have listened more. That's because of the love that this country, the love that this culture, this pop American culture had for Star Wars, the original trilogy. So that's why when I say things like the prequels did change movies with the technology, okay? So don't get me wrong. But when you talk about like the sequel trilogy and all this other stuff, it sort of diluted the essence and the magic of the original trilogy. And even Liam Neeson has said this, who played Qui-Gon and Jinn famously. You know, I think he was talking to Conan O'Brien as well. He said Star Wars is kind of diluted now, kind of watered down. And the more you kind of poke holes in something, the less water it holds. You know what I mean? So if you're going to do new Star Wars movies and new Star Wars content, it has to be outside the box. You just can't have a series. Oh yeah, we just had a series last year. We had 2 series the year before, because then it becomes mundane. You know what I mean? So like creators, visionaries that are the caretakers of Star Wars, Lucasfilm, under the umbrella of Disney, you really got to think outside of the box now. You got to change the game, because that's what Star Wars does. It's not like James Bond, you know, where like, oh, it's a series, it's the next movie, and I'm not, you know, throwing shade on James Bond. I love James Bond, but James Bond can go 23 movies long without people going, because it's a series. But Star Wars is just so groundbreaking. That's why you have to have a different tone for each series. And let me get on my soapbox here. That's probably why I appreciate the Andor series more than just about anything else, because it doesn't feel like Star Wars, but it's just great television. And it has a tone all its own. And that doesn't mean that it's not Star Wars, it's just a different tone. We can have different tones, can't we? I mean, does everybody have to make a Star Wars movie in the same style as George Lucas? I mean, you shouldn't have to. And Tony Gilroy made Stormtroopers a problem again. And Stormtroopers weren't really a threat since Star Wars: A New Hope, when they like barbecued Owen and Beru Lars. I mean, I remember first time seeing it, those like smoldering skeletons. I was like horrified. I was like, oh my god, these Stormtroopers are nasty. But then over the years, they just like stand right in front of you and can't hit you. Like, come on, it's garbage. But the Andor season finale really showed you that these guys are problems. And the tone, the serious tone of Andor, I love it. We need a different tone to Star Wars. We need newness. Okay, we need one vision of Star Wars, but we need different collaborators with different styles and different sensibilities. All right? All right, so before I put on these other layers, okay, I want to talk about some of the projects that I want to do. I just uploaded today a short, and this series, again, my series are only for entertainment purposes. I'm only here to make you guys enjoy Star Wars and to laugh a little bit, because there's so many like serious Star Wars channels on YouTube and like all this factual data. And I'm not throwing shade on those channels, but I'm saying like I don't just want to be facts. In this year, blah 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 blah, because then I'll just be C-3PO on here. But I want to like entertain you guys. And that's what Sith is all about, which stands for stupidity. I totally hate it. About Star Wars films, and I always say about the films I like and love. It's not about films I don't like. Not about films I don't love. It's only about stuff that I like. Okay? So if you think I'm a prequel hater, you're wrong. Because most of the Sith is about the prequel trilogy. Because I really like those movies. The other series I have, you don't really see too much on my channel. It's more on TikTok because it's usually just shorts. It's called We the Prequels, a parody of We the People. And it's how the prequels have sort of taken preeminence in George Lucas's Star Wars. I mean, the real Star Wars, okay? And it's like, wait a minute, how come Obi-Wan doesn't remember who R2 is? And when you first watch Star Wars, you're like, okay, he don't know who this robot is. But when you watch the Clone Wars, you're like, wait a minute. How could he ever forget this droid? This droid never had his memory wiped. C-3PO did, but R2 never had his memory wiped. Anakin Skywalker was supposed to wipe the droid's memory after every mission. There's a Clone Wars episode talking about how Anakin had to rescue R2 because R2 had all this information about tactical maneuvers of the Republic. So he had to go and rescue R2. So how could Obi-Wan not remember him, given the preeminence that the prequels take over the originals, okay? So that's all I'm doing, just poking fun. That's a poking gesture, not something else. All right. So that's what We the Prequels is about. It's usually with a funny voice. It's to make you laugh and hopefully enjoy and just think about some things. Like, oh yeah, that is crazy how that would happen. All right. Uh, okay, so the newest series is not in the same vein as Sith or the prequels because they have nothing to do with Star Wars. It's just that I'm going to be like in a Darth Vader costume or whatever and doing reviews of pop culture. So maybe like milestone events, maybe some like new songs or like products. It'll be mostly focused on movie reviews because I think movies are interesting in series. And it's called it's called Snap Hiss, not piss, but hiss like a snake. Hiss, snap hiss. Snap hiss is the literary description of the sound of a lightsaber. It's almost like the onomatopoeia of a lightsaber igniting. And author Timothy Zahn, he's the first one that I saw do this. He wrote the ignition of a lightsaber as snap hiss. Okay, so and in popular culture, if you snap on somebody, it means you kind of went crazy or went nuts. And hiss kind of sounds catty, so again, it's still for humorous purposes. Like, wait a minute, Darth Vader has a series called Snap Hiss. He's snapping on you and he's hissing. So to me, it's just fun. It's entertainment. And I've watched how many? I think I've watched about 5 movies, and I've already written out the scripts for each Darth Vader movie review, and I'm excited about it. I hope you guys are too. I'm just trying to think of a different format so it doesn't feel like Sith or feel like the prequels or feel like a Darth Vader trailer reaction. And coming soon, uh, the trailer reaction for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes will be up on the channel. And I hope you guys check it out. I hope you guys share it. And let me know what you think about what I think about the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. All right. So Snap Hiss, that'll be. Every time I say it, I sound like I'm saying piss, but I'm not. I'm saying Snap Hiss. Still sounds like Snap Piss to me, but anyway. That'll be coming sooner than later. Of course, I still want Vader Assembled to happen. It's just that this has been a tight year, all right, as far as like finances go, because I had a few situations that required money, all right. So the summer was locked. I did not have enough funds to purchase any movie accurate Darth Vader memorabilia as far as building a suit, okay. And that's the ultimate goal. But to be totally honest, putting on the costume and the Black Series helmet, I was like, I don't know if I can do a movie accurate costume. Or maybe I'll just get the costume and just get like one of those mannequins and just have the Vader outfit on there because. And you didn't ask for any of this information, but like, I sweat easily. So unless there's a ventilation system in the helmet and in the costume, I can just see me turn into a pile of sweat inside of the suit and just like slushing around. Okay. And that's the soundtrack to The Empire Strikes Back playing in the background, by the way. All right. So I think I still do want to get the suit. And again, as I open each piece of the costume, I want to, have like a unboxing video and make it almost like a vlog, a video log of me acquiring all of the components of a movie accurate Darth Vader costume. All right. So Vader Assembled, I still want to do that. Again, I only have the one piece, not the anime one piece, but I only have the one piece of authentic memorabilia. All right. But more is coming, I hope. We'll see. And I also want to do some I want to do some fan skits. I don't want to say a film because I don't know if they'll have the runtime of an actual fan film. But the premise is that Darth Vader comes to Earth. All right, and that's not new. I mean, have you ever seen Chad Vader, which is a hilarious series on YouTube? I would suggest you guys check it out. Matt Sloan does the voice of Vader, and of course, Matt Sloan went on to do like the voice of Darth Vader in The Force Unleashed 1 and 2. He was also in the Tom Toms commercial, which is funny stuff. So it's not a totally new concept, Darth Vader being on Earth in everyday situations. But the premise is this. After the destruction of the first Death Star, a rift in time opens. And as Darth Vader's, spiraling out of control in his advanced tie. He comes to Earth. He had crash lands, and that's kind of when hijinks ensue. Again, entertainment purposes. All right, hijinks ensue. Um, that's where I think a lot of the future videos will kind of be based on. Darth Vader actually landing on Earth. So maybe instead of having a full costume, I'll just have maybe just like the armor and like maybe an overcoat, so Darth Vader can blend in, since he's like the supreme commander of the Imperial forces. He doesn't realize that he's not in the Star Wars galaxy anymore. So he's trying to keep a low profile, has like a hoodie on or something. So again, these are just ideas. And it would be a goal of mine. And I'm going to wrap this up soon, the talking part, because then I'm going to go into the deep dive about The Empire Strikes Back. I want to do two serious fan films in the next 3 years. All right. And hopefully you guys can join me on that quest. Okay. The first fan film is about Darth Vader being installed into the Iron Lung. I want to do a whole fan film about that. All right. And when I say a film, I mean at least 30 minutes, at the least. It'll be different from how it's done in Revenge of the Sith. They'll show more of Vader's injuries, more of the surgeries. There'll be no sequence where he's just screaming out "No!" in full costume. One of my least favorite moments of any Star Wars film. And the only reason why it is because Anakin Skywalker never did that when he had his back against the wall or when he was in a bind. Like when his mom died, he didn't scream no. He just looked off in disbelief, like, what? And of course, that led to the slaughter of the Sand People, which we'll talk about at a later time. Okay. But it was very un-Vader and un-Anakin Skywalker like. Like that was just like it felt like he was a actor in the theater on stage. No, it's like come on, Darth doing that. I remember people were kind of like chuckling at that moment in the theaters. I do remember that. Okay, but I was just like, did he just do that? And then all of a sudden he's just like walking down the bridge where the Emperor's like overseeing the construction of the Death Star. Unbelievable. With like Tarkin. I'm like, you mean to tell me this cybernetic being is just allowed on the bridge of a Star Destroyer with no formal announcement, no introduction? Like nobody, no guard stopped him and said, who is this guy? It's like, we're talking about somebody that's like almost a freak of nature. But then again, when you have General Grievous in the mix, which is kind of another, example of the prequels kind of like overlaying the originals. Now all of a sudden, General Grievous was a type of Darth Vader. It's like, come on, man. Why can't Vader be unique? You know what I mean? It's like now his mask is like an ancient Sith wardrobe. All they're doing, a lot of stuff that George Lucas has done is just really just to the disservice and to the discredit of the Darth Vader character. That's just my thoughts on it. All right. Especially when we talk about the Clone Wars and how like everything Darth Vader is, the Emperor is responsible for. Everything? Really? As insightful, as ingenious as Anakin Skywalker is, he couldn't come up with anything related to Darth Vader? I just don't like that. So that's what one of the fan films that I hope to make is about. It'll show like the process of Anakin. I'm still calling Anakin Skywalker, okay? Of Anakin Skywalker being integrated into the suit, and hopefully, again, I'm projecting years. This won't happen anytime soon, but we'll see the original take on Darth Vader's role in the Empire. Obi-Wan Kenobi said, "A young Jedi named Darth Vader helped the Empire hunt down and destroy the Jedi Knights." That lends credence to Darth Vader, not just this Order 66 that just wiped out all the Jedi. And in Revenge of the Sith, you don't see Darth Vader kill any Jedi or fight any Jedi, except Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that's kind of how I want to go with things. And there's some twists that I'm not going to mention right now, but hopefully everything can work together so that can get off the ground. And the second fan film, again, years from now, it's about a sort of like a, I don't want to say a card player, gambler, scoundrel like Lando Calrissian, but sort of one of those fringe types. And they're talking about like the myth of Darth Vader. Because Vader's not normal. He's not just a regular person. So the idea is that Darth Vader is more of like propaganda of the Empire, and most people don't believe he exists. I mean, of course he exists, but in this certain fringe group, and they meet an archaeologist or whatever, and he's like, he has like I don't want to say a map to Vader because Star Wars has been mapped to death, but they go like on an archaeological jaunt to sort of like figure out if Darth Vader was real or not. And I'm gonna be reaching on that one, okay? Because the idea that I have is really a reach. So it's those two films about. Of course, they both involve Darth Vader, but Darth Vader being integrated into a suit, and the second one is like the quest for Darth Vader. All right. So that's all I'm going to talk about it because we're almost at the halfway point. Because I usually like to make these about an hour. Again, welcome to Darth Vader Unlimited. Thank you for thumbing up the video or hearting the video. Okay. And I appreciate if you guys leave comments. I'll be more than happy to answer questions. Or I don't know about impersonations because I've eaten something today, and I don't know if my voice is kind of optimum for an impersonation. But let's try something. Let's try something quick. We would be honored if you would join us. All right. So let's get into. Let's literally get into this Darth Vader costume. And as you see, plastic, not metal. It's actually a full body suit. All right, with the control box on the front and shoulder armor. So I literally have to get into it. All right. Thank you for blowing your horn while I'm streaming live. All right. And it's basically one size fits all. At first I thought I was going to be too tall for it because like you might not be able to tell this, but I'm pretty tall. All right. I'm 6'4", so that's kind of tall. That's about 2 or 3 inches shorter than the original Darth Vader actor, David Prowse. So I'm going to try and stay in frame too. All right. As I said, try to stay in frame. And in the back is like a Velcro thing. A Velcro thing. But it's Velcro, so it's not too restricting. And I understand that the movie accurate like suits are like a lot of Velcro as well. So that you don't. Alright, so that's the first part. Wait a minute, hold up. Oh god, nice crop shot. Alright, so I apologize for that. This is not a rated R Darth Vader channel. Alright, so as you see, it's like kind of that flimsy plastic. This is Velcroed up here. Velcro over here. It can easily come off and just, immediately go back on, okay? All right, so that's the shoulder. And again, I'm kind of a perfectionist. So I'm like, this doesn't look Vader-esque at all. All right, so that's the bodysuit. There are two kind of flimsy pieces of fabric, one for the cape and one for that, inner robe that Vader wears. All right. So this is the robe. All right. It's supposed to go under the armor, but I'm just going to do it over the armor, like in A New Hope. Okay. And no, it doesn't drape to the floor or anything. So there's that. Alrighty, so welcome to Darth Vader Unlimited. I'm just trying on the Halloween costume. Oh Jesus, this is new. I hope you didn't see a crotch shot. I apologize for that. But anyway, thank you for visiting my live stream. Okay, so I'm just trying on a Halloween costume that I got. All right. So it's flimsy. It's nothing that anybody's going to think. Oh, is that an accurate Darth Vader costume? No, it isn't. All right, so the chest box. This is all plastic. There's actually like a battery pack that you can put in so that these lights will be. How are you? It's been a while. Media helpline. Okay, it has been a while. Okay. All right. Thank you so much for coming on. All right. So this is more the style of A New Hope. Okay. And again, I dread putting on the Black Series mask because all this will be, I won't be able to see anything. All right. All right. Now this is the the belt and the cod piece. So thankfully there'll be no more crotch shots because they'll be covered up by the cod piece. And again, kind of flimsy fabric, but again, I'm not, I'm not under any illusions or disillusions that this is something that I can wear to the 501st, convention. So there's no Velcro on this, but you kind of just like tie it or whatever in the back. Alrighty. I would show you guys, but then you'd get a rear end shot. And this is not a rated R Star Wars channel. All right, so basically I just tied it like a shoestring. Okay. All right. Okay, so that's that. It'll be difficult to sit down in. This is Luke. Oh, Luke Sourcrout Unlimited. I've changed my name since I am tutoring media students for upcoming. What does it say? Upcoming. I'm sorry, camera. Upcoming mocks. Awesome. Good to see you on here. All right. As I'm saying, I'm trying on this Halloween costume that I got about 2 weeks ago. All right, now this is the cape. It's gonna be hard to put the cape on because I actually have the sash part over this piece of. There's two pieces of Velcro that you're supposed to, apply the cape to. So, where is it? All right, but I'm going to try anyway, though. Okay. Hold this down. All right, so so this is the cape part. Again, nothing that'll get me invited to the 501st. You need to wear this for every stream. I actually put up a video talking about whether I should wear this on every stream or whatever. But... All right, and I wish you much success in tutoring media students. Like that sounds serious. I went to college. Yes, I'm educated. Look where I'm putting my education. What good use of. Anyway, I went to college with somebody that was in media, and they worked for like this large ministry in Tulsa, Oklahoma. When they went back home, they were actually working for the Cleveland Cavaliers in the media department. So I have much respect for media. Okay. All right, so this is basically it. If I had a wider background, I would definitely show you guys from head to toe what it looks like. They actually have shin guards. Yes, there are actual shin guards. So I'm just going to put on my bedroom slippers and apply the shin guards just to show it to you guys. So I'm still here. All right. Just going to put on these loafers. All right. And now the shin guards. Again, plastic and Velcro, that's the word of the day. Plastic. Now, actually, these shin guards are probably the most uncomfortable part of this ensemble. Because, like, you can't really, like, move or walk or do anything. There's one shin guard. Now, I used to play soccer when I was a kid, so these don't feel like shin guards at all. These are just strips of plastic. So did you go to school for media helpline? All right, so I'm gonna try and raise my legs so you can see what the shin guards look like. As I said, I have my bedroom slippers. So again, plastic. Nothing that anybody will confuse with the authentic Darth Vader costume. And again, instead of putting on the Black Series mask, I'm just going to put on the face mask, which is Velcro as well. All right, so if I turn to the side, you'll see the band around the back of my head, so I'm not going to do that. All right, almost did it there. So this is the Halloween Darth Vader costume. As you see, they didn't come with any gloves. The lenses are fogging up already, so time to take it off. It's really that restricting with this little plastic costume. All right. So that was just for fun, but that was the Darth Vader Halloween costume that I got. Oop, put the cod piece down. So we'll just finish the stream in this, okay? Yeah, right now I'm tutoring kids about film industry and how Disney is a conglomerate company and Disney owns Star Wars, which is a subsidiary company. Oh, that's awesome. Again, I'm not trying to pry too much into your personal life, but like, how many like students do you have? And is it on the high school level, or is it like just something you can do on the weekends? Or... As you see, I like to interact with the people on the channel. Okay. All right, so we are now going to go into. Let me take the cod piece off too. So I'm going to take this off and just leave the bodysuit on. All right. I think I'll just wear these two, not the cod. I'd probably just have a belt around it. I know, too nerdy, but they have to know. All right, so no cod piece. We'll just leave the shin guards on and just this part. All right, so we are getting into what is arguably, maybe I can, no gloves, because then I won't be able to type. So we're going to talk about arguably the greatest Star Wars movie of all time, Empire Strikes Back. Now, my favorite Star Wars movie when I was a kid, and George Lucas says that Star Wars is for 12-year-olds, okay? But as a 6-year-old, my favorite movie was the same as yours, Media Helpline. Return of the Jedi was my favorite movie. Okay, that's what's up. So high school and online 6 students. Cool. I wish you much success. Okay. But Return of the Jedi, which was originally called Revenge of the Jedi, there's actually like a movie poster that says Revenge of the Jedi. Yeah, we're going to do the Return of the Jedi deep dive along with the third movie, because I've been doing it in that order. One of the prequels, one of the original, one of the sequels, and now I'm just finishing up the second movie because I've already done Last Jedi and I've already done Attack of the Clones, so now it's time for the GOAT, arguably, Empire Strikes Back. And later on, I will do the third movies, which is Revenge of the Sith, which a lot of people think is the best Star Wars movie. I just think it has the best action. There's also The Rise of Skywalker and Return of the Jedi. As I was saying, Return of the Jedi was my favorite movie, period, when I was a kid. Okay? And I think it does have some of the best stuff in it. Like, Vader versus Luke in front of the Emperor is some of the best stuff in the saga. And that's one of the reasons why The Rise of Skywalker rubs me so wrongly. The fact that they brought the Emperor back after that amazing redemption arc for Darth Vader, they had the nerve to bring the Emperor back. I don't like that. I really don't. I really despise that. Now, do I really despise it? No. I'm just saying, as a fan of Star Wars and a fan of movies, I thought it was a poor idea. Now, if the Emperor had like a whole cloning network going on, I could understand that, but you can't allow a momentous moment like Vader going back to the light side after being like the arch villain of all movies, The American Film Institute listed him as the third best villain in the history of movies, behind Norman Bates, who was played by Anthony Perkins, and Hannibal Lecter, who was played by Sir Anthony Hopkins. Darth Vader was third all time for his portrayal in The Empire Strikes Back. You can't have this evil, demonic Vader character turn good and then just bring the Emperor back. Can't do that. I'm sorry. No, you can't do it. So anyway, let's get into The Empire Strikes Back. See how I go off on these tangents, whatever, talking about Star Wars. I just love Star Wars so much, right? So we're going to The Empire Strikes Back. The Empire Strikes Back picks up where Star Wars left off, the destruction of the Death Star. It says that the rebels have been chased off of Yavin 4, which was their base, which Princess Leia allowed her home to be destroyed to protect. That shows you what kind of a heroine Princess Leia was. So all these people in the media talking about Star Wars is misogynistic. You're an idiot if you think that. If you think that, you're an idiot. All the stuff that Princess Leia went through to show her true loyalty to the rebellion at the cost of her home planet, this is female empowerment like I've never seen before. Darth Vader could not break her will to turn against the rebellion. Remember, when Vader is informing, was it Tarkin, General Tag, and Admiral Mahdi, he's pacing back and forth. He's like, her resistance, there was no point in Emperor. They should have kept Snoke alive because we could learn more about him, then recreate Luke versus Vader in front of Palpatine, but this time Rey versus Kyle in front of Snoke. I agree with that. Snoke was almost a waste. He was almost like a red herring. He's like, oh yeah, this is the Emperor character. So in the third movie, Kylo, but that's one of the things I don't agree with in The Last Jedi. But as I was saying, like, Darth Vader is literally pacing back and forth. These are Vader's words. Her resistance to the mind probe is considerable. It could be some time before we can extract any information from her. Vader's using drugs and he can't break the will of Princess Leia. So all these ladies talking about misogyny and patriarchy and how Star Wars is sexist. You didn't watch the movies, ladies. Darth Vader can't break this little girl, who turned out to be his little girl, actually. That just, I forgot this lady's name that's supposed to be like writing The Acolyte. Ladies, you haven't watched Star Wars, clearly, if you're making comments like that. All right? So in the aftermath of the rebels being chased off of Yavin 4 and the destruction of the Death Star, they're like hiding from the Empire now. Leia is beautiful and strong. He couldn't do it because she was too strong mentally. And then they kind of recreated those scenes in The Force Awakens, except this time Kylo Ren was mentally probing Oscar Isaac's character. What's his name? Poe Dameron. And he's like using the Force, like literally throw his head back, like. But Vader couldn't break Leia. So I don't see misogyny in Star Wars. Now, did they kind of sexually objectify Leia in Return of the Jedi? Do you want to call it that? I mean, she looked very good. Ula looked very good as well. Okay, but the leader of the rebellion was a woman named Mon Mothma, and Princess Leia was like, when she was with the rebellion, she was in charge again. So either way, we have strong females in Star Wars. Anyway, let me get back to the Empire Strikes Back. All right. So they hide out on this ice ball called Hoth. Okay. The Empire has no idea where they are. It says in the opening crawl, Darth Vader dispatches thousands of probe droids throughout the galaxy to find the rebels, or a hint of the rebels. Thank you for coming to Darth Vader Unlimited's live stream. We're going to close it down here in about 15 minutes, but please leave a comment in the chat. Let me know what's up. We can even chat like I've been doing with Media Helpline here a little bit. I love Star Wars. As you see, I'm in a Darth Vader costume that I got from Party City. No, not Party City. Halloween City or something. One of those stores that pop up every October and then they like go away. And they only come around once a year. But anyway. So right now I'm doing the deep dive in The Empire Strikes Back. The rebels are on a icy planet that is not hospitable to humans. It's so inhospitable that the Admiral says, I want proof, not leads. Like, this is Hoth. And then Captain P tells him, he said, sir, the Hothson is supposed to be devoid of human forms. In other words, humans ain't supposed to live here. So the structures that the probe droid picks up shows human life. He's like, they could be smugglers. And Vader's like, that's the system. Because Vader can hear them from the view screen that he was looking out of. So he hears a little commotion. He like walks down the ramp. Everybody in the pit's looking up like, oh God, here comes Vader. And he says, you found something. And as soon as he sees it, he says, that's it. That's where the rebels are. And people have said that there's a theory that Admiral Ozzel was a rebel sympathizer. And that's why he did all these things. But Vader just chalked it up to him being as clumsy as he is stupid. So then we see this blinded from carbonite. What do you mean by that? Blinded from carbonite? You talking about Admiral Ozzel or? Okay. Elaborate on that, please, if you don't mind. So we see a huge battle. The battle of this movie is in the opening. So there's no like, MCU, big battle at the end of the series. This battle on Hoth is in the beginning of the movie. So George Lucas is just like, he's throwing you curveballs. He's throwing you lefts and rights. You looking right, he's throwing left. George Lucas is just a master filmmaker. That's why I will never decry George Lucas for the things that I don't agree with. I'll just say that. I don't agree with it. But as far as disrespecting George Lucas or being a part of that documentary, The People versus George Lucas, not this person, not this people. All right. So anyway, the rebels are basically trying to buy time for their ships to take off. They have something called the ion cannon, which can deactivate all ship systems, as you saw kind of on display in Rogue One, where the one ship fires into the Star Destroyer, and then the other Star Destroyer kind of crashes into the other Star Destroyer. And let's go here, all right? Again, I do go off on these tangents when they come to me. People were complaining about The Last Jedi with them dropping bombs on the Dreadnought in space. Nobody seemed to complain about a Star Destroyer dropping onto another Star Destroyer in Rogue One. Nobody seemed to complain about the Super Star Destroyer nosediving when it was out of control into the Death Star and blowing up. So let's stop nitpicking, all right? Anyway, let me get back to what I was talking about. So, before this big battle, Luke is attacked by a Wampa. He escapes. He sees a vision of Obi-Wan Kenobi, his mentor. Kind of a surrogate father, but I guess you could say Owen Lars, his uncle, was sort of his surrogate father and uncle as well. But he sees him. He's like, Ben? And Ben Kenobi, Obi-Wan, orders him to go to the Dagobah system to learn more of the Force from Yoda. Because Luke wanted to be a Jedi like his father. He wanted to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like his father. So even in death, Obi-Wan Kenobi is saying, there is still hope for you, Luke. My master, who didn't turn out to be his master, he just turned out to be the Grand Master of the Jedi Order. His actual master was Qui-Gon Jinn. But anyway, let me get off my high horse, okay? And he says, go to Dagobah. And Luke's like, Dagobah system? So when Luke leaves Hoth, because the rebels lose. They lose the Battle of Hoth, okay? Now, Vader didn't get what he wanted. He didn't get Luke, because it says he was chasing Skywalker. And of course, he wanted his close associates, Captain Solo, Princess Leia, and Chewie, and all them, okay? So they escape, but they lose the battle. The base is overrun with the Imperials, and they're running again. So Luke diverts to Dagobah. There he learns and meets this little critter with big ears and green skin and a wrinkled forehead, designed after the creator of Yoda, Stuart Freeborn, along with a little bit of Albert Einstein in the mix in the design of Yoda. And Yoda's testing Luke. He's being a nuisance. And then when Luke's impatience just reached an all-time fever pitch, Yoda goes, I can't teach him. He has no patience. He's too impatient. And Obi-Wan kind of outs Yoda here. Not that kind of outing, but he says he will learn patience from you. And Luke could hear it too. Luke's going, and Yoda's like, much anger in him, like his father. And Obi-Wan says, was I any different when you taught me? So Yoda turns around and says, he's not ready. And Luke realizes, Yoda, you're Yoda. And Yoda gives a little nod. Let's backtrack. Okay? This is one of the primary reasons why I thought it was stupid to include R2D2 and C3PO in the prequel trilogy. Because according to the Clone Wars Season 6, and I don't know if you guys have watched that, but Yoda goes on a personal crusade from Qui-Gon Jinn. Okay, Qui-Gon Jinn is already dead, okay? But through the Force, he's instructing Yoda. Yoda goes on like a galaxy-wide quest with who? R2D2. So for him to land in the swamp on Dagobah, Luke, and R2 to not go, "Hey, Yoda, how you doing?" Or Yoda to go, "R2, again it is me." Okay. More hijinks from the prequels. And again, it was stupid to have R2 and 3PO in this prequel trilogy. But anyway, so then we see some of the best stuff of The Empire Strikes Back. Luke is learning about the Force from Yoda. You see that Luke is like doing handstands. He's on one hand at one point. He's levitating stuff in his surroundings. So Yoda is teaching him about the presence of the Force. That it's not just about your physical body. Yoda says size matters not. He says luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. It's not just this physical stuff. He says you must feel the Force around you. Okay? And I guess if I was older and remembering that scene of Yoda telling Luke to feel the Force around him, maybe I would have put it together sooner that Darth Vader was the father of Luke, because when Vader's fighting Luke, Vader's feeling the Force around him and throwing toolboxes at Luke's head. So again, I was a kid when it came out. Yes, I just dated myself. No, Yoda got dementia and R2's on drugs. Remember when Yoda hit R2? Mine! 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 R2! Okay. So again, this is just some great stuff of The Empire Strikes Back. Yoda teaching Luke about the Force. Like, it's just great acting, too. I mean, most people don't think Star Wars has good acting to it. I mean, because, you're kind of there for the lightsabers and the space battles and stuff like that. But it's just great acting. This puppet, it's just doing such a great job. Frank Oz, who voiced Yoda, and the realism of the puppet. He really looks like an alien. I mean, it's a great puppet, but it looks like an alien. He's like, you must feel the Force around. And then Luke just brats out and goes, you want the impossible. And you, the audience, you're like, dang, Luke, you're being a little... I won't say the word, okay? So Yoda demonstrates his patience. And he goes, you know what? I should let this kid just rot here and let his ship sink to the bottom of the Earth, of the planet core. I'm kidding. But Yoda shows his patience. He shows how compassionate of a teacher he is. Now, I don't know how weak Yoda was in The Empire Strikes Back. I mean physically, because, he died shortly thereafter in Return of the Jedi. But this one last act, perhaps, he levitates, fingers unconsciously in the form of Yoda. I wasn't even thinking about doing that. It just happened. He lifts the X-Wing up, and a display of power that had not been done in the entire trilogy. So Yoda was still the most powerful character in Star Wars. Even sick and 900 years old. So not only does he lift this multi-ton ship out of a swamp, he guides it through the air and lands it right in front of Luke. Right in front of Luke. There, see? It can be done. And Luke says, I don't believe it. And Yoda says those famous words, that is why you fail. And the entire time that Luke is learning about the Force from Yoda, Darth Vader is hunting down his friends. They're not hunting down the Rebel Alliance. They're hunting down Luke's friends. He doesn't send Boba Fett or Bosk or IG-88 or Dengar or Zuckuss or Forlom to look for the rebels. He's saying find the Millennium Falcon. Specifically this one ship, this one Corellian freighter. Because Vader wants Luke. And he says no disintegration specifically to Boba Fett. All right. And then for the first time, we see Darth Vader without his mask on. We see the back of his head. We see this tremendous scar. And you're like, whoa, that's Vader without his helmet on and his mask. So then you're getting, Vader's a mysterious character. You're getting more info and more insight on Darth Vader. You see how calculating he is. That he's not just a dog. Remember Leia referred to him. She says to Tarkin, you said got to refer to Tarkin. I should have expected to find you holding Vader's leash. Because you just saw Vader as just some kill machine. Maybe she knew he was a cyborg as well. I use that on my students. I don't believe I can pass, sir. That's why you fail. Great stuff. That's great. I need to start using Star Wars on my coworkers who aren't too right. I don't believe it. Of course not, dummy. No, I'm kidding. I wouldn't say all that. But we see the back of Vader's head. We see that there's mystery that's unfolding about who this person is behind the mask. Good to see you in 20 minutes. Gotta go. See you in 20 minutes. I probably won't be on in 20 minutes. It's always a pleasure to interact with you, media helpline. I won't call you what I used to call you, okay? Just to keep up the mystery. No, I'm playing. But thank you so much, sir. May the force be with you. And when I go live again, I hope to see you again, sir. Okay? Thank you so much. So, the bounty hunters are looking specifically for this Corellian freighter, the Millennium Falcon. And Boba Fett is tracking the Millennium Falcon. I guess he's sort of like, I guess through probability, he says it looks like they're going to a NOAD system. Because maybe he knows who Lando Calrissian is as well. Maybe he knows that Han Solo has an affiliation with Lando. Maybe he put it together. It will make sense, all right? Like, I don't really have to see that. I buy that, okay? So Boba Fett contacts Vader. Vader gets there first. Lando said they arrived right before you did, so they knew you were coming, okay? So then there's a trap that's sprung on Cloud City, and it's amazing, like the contrast. When they're coming into land, it's like this heavenly music. It's like this orchestral music. It's like heaven almost. Like everything's white, the buildings are white. Like you get the idea that you're in heaven. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, 3PO is destroyed. Yes, C3PO is disassembled because somebody shoots him, and you don't really know whose voice it is. Who are you? Oh my! Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I didn't mean to intrude. No, please, no. You don't really know who that is. You're like, wait, is that one of the bounty hunters? It's not Darth Vader because his voice is different. So then Chewbacca goes into the bowels of Cloud City, and he finds the pieces of C-3PO. Then this is what's so great about George Lucas and his storytelling. They allow light-hearted fare, F-A-R-E. In this very serious situation, George Lucas says, let's put some humor here. Let's have the Ugnaughts play Keep Away from Chewbacca. And it works. This is the magic of George Lucas. This is a lot of the magic that a lot of the sequel trilogy movies lack. Charm. There isn't a lot of charm. Everything has to be deadly serious. In this moment, there's the allowance of humor. Why not? Tell a great story. Don't force the humor in, or don't oversaturate it with humor, okay? But anyway, as I was saying, Chewbacca brings the pieces in like a bin, like one of those like post office bins, back to where Han and Leia are. I think, wait a minute, was it before or after? I think Luke had already left Dagobah, because Luke, he's doing like a handstand. Yoda's on top of his foot, I think. Or, no, it's not. But he's levitating R2. Luke is lifting rocks. He's lifting bins, storage bins. And he says, I see a city in the clouds. And Yoda's impressed. He's like, friends you have there. And Luke goes, they were in pain. My friends were in pain. And Yoda says, it is the future you see. And Luke's like, future? And Yoda's like, so Yoda doesn't know everything, but Yoda is very powerful and very wise. He says, I know that's the future, but I don't really know everything else about it. And Luke goes, will they die? And Yoda doesn't cap. He thinks about it. And he goes, difficult to see. He didn't give him a yes or no. Always in motion is the future. So remember, Yoda is the most powerful being in the galaxy. Remember, I told you, levitating an X-Wing and doing that's the most powerful feat of Star Wars that we've seen in the original trilogy. So Luke says, I gotta go to them. And Yoda's like Yoda can't believe it. He's like, decide you must how to serve them best. If you leave now, help them you could, but you will destroy all for which they have fought and suffered. What were they fighting and what were they suffering? They were fighting for freedom to escape the Empire. So Yoda knows this is a trap. He's like this is the work of the dark side. Vader is just like baiting you with the trouble of your friends. You will cost them their freedom if you leave. All right. Now let's think about it. If Luke never went, what would Vader have done? Would he have just sat on Cloud City forever and would they just been prisoners on the Superstar Destroyer? We don't really know. But Obi-Wan appears and he says, because Luke says, he has his flak jacket? No, his suit on and everything to go. And Yoda's like, you must not go. And he goes, Han and Leia will die if I don't. And Obi-Wan appears again. He says, you don't know that. He says, even Yoda, the most powerful being in the galaxy, cannot see their fate. And Luke says, but I can help them. I feel the Force. And Obi-Wan says, but you cannot control it. This is a dangerous time. Yes, I'm going off memory here. This is a dangerous time for you when you will be tempted by the dark side of the Force. So he knows that Vader is spinning this. Vader and the Emperor somehow, but mostly Vader, is spinning the trauma that is happening to his friends to lure Luke in. He says, this is a dangerous time for you where you be tempted by the dark side of the Force. And Yoda's like, yes, because Yoda already knows this. To Obi-Wan, you listen. The cave. Remember your failure in the cave. And we're not going to go into what the cave is. We'll talk about the cave another time, all right? And Luke goes, but I've learned, Luke's showing a little impatient, but I've learned so much since then. Master Yoda, I promise to return. He's like putting stuff away. I promise to return and finish what I've begun. You have my word. And Obi-Wan says, it is you and your abilities the Emperor wants. That is why your friends are made to suffer. Since Luke didn't really put it together yet. And then Luke goes, that's why I have to go. And then Obi-Wan gives a very heart-moving line here. He says, Luke, and you can hear it. It says, Luke, I don't want to lose you to the Emperor the way I lost Vader. Maybe that should have been a hint to all of us as well that Vader was actually Luke's father, but, I didn't put it together. Nobody did. He says, I don't want to lose you to the Emperor the way I lost Vader. So there's still regret that Obi-Wan lost Darth Vader to the Emperor. And then Luke says, you won't, confidently. And Yoda says, stopped they must be, the Emperor and Darth Vader. On this, all depends. Only a fully trained Jedi Knight with the Force as his ally will conquer Vader and his Emperor. If you end your training now, if you choose the quick and easy path as Vader did, you will become an agent of evil. And then Obi-Wan says, patience! And Luke says, and sacrifice Han and Leia? And Yoda says, if you honor what they fight for, yeah, sacrifice them. And then Obi-Wan says, if you choose to face Vader, you'll do it alone. I can't interfere. And then Luke surprises Yoda, and he says, I understand. And Yoda's like Yoda, Luke ain't afraid. So let's look at this, of how even powerful people like Vader, the most powerful beings in the galaxy right now, Yoda, Obi-Wan, Vader, the Emperor, and Luke. These are the five most powerful beings right now. Can we agree to that? None of them can see what's going to happen. None of them. Not even the Emperor, who everybody acts like is like this god or something now. After the prequels. Oh, he can flip, he can do all this and whatever. George Lucas never wrote him as God. So none of them can see what's going to happen. None of these beings can see that the Savior will come in the form of Lando Calrissian. He saves the day. Lando does. The guy that turned Han, Chewie, and Leia and 3PO over to the Empire had a change of heart. Just like Han Solo had a change of heart. He stopped being selfish. He stopped looking out for just himself. He saved Luke. He saved the rebellion. He saved the moon of Yavin 4. Lando had the same thing. The Force is at work. That's why Yoda can't see what's going on, because the Force is at work here. Nothing's been established. Lando makes the decision. He gives Lobot one look. Like, enough of this BS. You know what I mean? Like it's over. It's done. I'm tired of this. I don't care if they kill me. And then we see probably the most emotionally charged scene in the entire saga, the carbon freezing chamber scene. We see that Vader is there because, remember, this is all about Luke. This has nothing to do with Han. He's like, okay, Boba, you can take him the job, but whatever. Let me get Skywalker first. So then when Vader sees that the process is a success, he asks Calrissian. He says, did he survive? You know what I mean? He's like, yeah, he's alive and in perfect hibernation. And then Vader looks and says, he's all yours, Boba. Because Boba been asking all the time. He said, what if he doesn't survive? He's worth a lot to me. And he says, then he said something else to Vader. I'm trying to remember what the line was. He's no good to me if he's dead. Because Vader was torturing Han earlier. And Vader assures him, he said he won't be permanently damaged. So he says, Boba, he's all yours. And Boba nods. Yes. And Vader reset the chamber for Skywalker. And then, of course, before Han is lowered in, we see this emotional... This might be the fever pitch of emotion. Vader says, put him in. Talking about... Because Vader's getting impatient now. He says, I want to see this thing come to fruition. And Chewie goes ham. He's like knocking stormtroopers over, throwing them off. I don't know how far that fall was. And one of the most ambiguous scenes in Star Wars, Boba Fett raises his gun. Vader stops him. No, don't kill him. Yeah, because Boba, I don't know if Boba was just trigger happy or if there was something else to Vader's plan. Maybe if Luke would have sensed that Vader had been killed, Luke would have gone nuts on Vader. And maybe Vader didn't want that smoke. Because remember, the Emperor told Vader he could destroy us. So maybe there was a little fear in Vader. Maybe that's why he's like, no. I got him where I want him. Don't kill him. And then Leia turns to Vader and she sees him physically still holding the gun down. And she just gives such an ambiguous look to Vader. It's like, was this hatred of Leia, or was Leia not sure what Vader really wanted? Or maybe she was just wrong about who Darth Vader really was. Maybe. Who knows? Again, those points will be argued till the end of time. Why Vader stopped Boba Fett from shooting Chewie, and the look that Leia gives Darth Vader. All right. So then this movie is just like an emotional thrill ride from the time Luke takes off from Dagobah to go to Hoth. Not Hoth. Bespin Cloud City. Then we see the confrontation that had been boiling since the first Star Wars. Ever since Obi-Wan told Luke that Darth Vader killed his father, this is what we've been waiting for. And Luke sees Vader up on that little, not a catwalk, but on that little platform. He walks up. He ignites his lightsaber right away. Same mistake he made when he fought Vader in the cave. He's like, psh. So Vader's like, all right, let's do this. They're fighting. To me, it's my favorite lightsaber battle because of the emotion, the twist at the end. It's the best to me. A lot of people say Darth Vader versus Anakin Skywalker. Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan Kenobi on Revenge of the Sith is the best. To me, they just did more flips against a green screen. I don't think it's the best. All right, it's a great fight though, but it's not the best. All right, to me, it's not a duel. It's just people doing stuff. So you can tell that Vader's sort of toying with Luke. You know what I mean? Like Luke does do a few things that surprise Vader. Vader kind of turns his back to activate the carbon freezing chamber the carbon freezing chamber device. Luke jumps out all the way up. I don't know how far that jump was. And Vader still thinks he's down there, and Luke's like, makes all this noise so Vader can see him. I'm kidding. He didn't do it on purpose. But Luke just has a grasp of the Force that Vader's just not anticipating. Like Vader's like about to swing low, sweet chariot. Luke jumps over him and is like on the attack, and he like knocks Vader off the platform. So Vader knows Luke's powerful. You know what I mean? Because he even said, perhaps you're not as strong as the Emperor thought. So then when Luke proves him wrong, he's like, impressive, most impressive. So then the second sequence of this battle, he's not really hiding, but he kind of like walks out to where Luke is. There's no talking. Vader's not talking in this scene, even though I kind of redo the scene with him talking and taunting Luke. And then we see Vader pulling on the Force to not just use the lightsaber, but the Force is around him. Like I said earlier with Yoda telling Luke about this, Vader already knew that, apparently. Vader feels the Force around him. He uses the Force to, knock Luke off balance. You know what I mean? So that, Vader will have an advantage. So he's hitting them with toolboxes and chests and these huge pieces of appliance. He could have killed Luke. He could have, but he didn't. So then Luke is kind of like sucked out of the window, because Vader destroyed it. The whole area was depressurized or whatever. So Vader's holding on. And he looks over and he sees that Luke is still alive. Luke's still clinging to the platform. So then we come down to the end of the duel. And in the process, Lando frees Leia and Chewie. He says, we're getting out of here. And the 3PO is hilarious here. I knew all along. Had to be a mistake. So then Chewie starts choking the crap out of Lando, and 3PO's like, trust him! 3PO was so funny in this movie. Hilarious. So then he says, there's still a chance to save Han. He's like, Leia don't care about Lando. She cares about Han. And he said, Han, there's still a chance to save Han, dummy. At the East platform. So then they hurry, but they can't get there in time because she acted out of anger. She didn't seize the opportunity to be free. She just wanted to exact revenge. And I'm not saying Leia gave into the dark side, but you see that her anger foiled the plan. Lando wanted to save Han because He didn't care anymore. He's like, all right, Vader, do whatever you got to do. Stormtroopers, do what you got to do. I'm not going through this anymore. You know what I mean? So he's not saved. They escape, and Leia's looking up with such regret, like, oh my God, I could have saved him. So then the clash, Vader and Luke on the edge of the walkway. Vader is just like, you can tell he's hurting Luke. You know what I mean? Herding. He's hurting him to a place where he'll think Luke has no choice but to, join the dark side. Because Vader don't need him to really feel it. He just needs him to, yeah, I'll join. You know what I mean? Because once he's in Vader's clutches, it's like the dark side. Once you're in, it's a trap. That's the trap of the dark side. Okay? So he comes to the edge. Vader is like hit on the shoulder, and he loses it. He's like, "Rah!" Cuts off the little stanchion or whatever it is, and immediately ends the fight. Immediately. He's like, oh, really? This little twirl trick. He kind of like, I guess, leaves Luke kind of like just with his hand out, and Vader just says, whop, and cuts his hand off. And Luke screams, and then Vader hits him with, you thought Oppenheimer dropped the bomb? Well, no, Oppenheimer didn't actually drop the bomb, but if you thought the bomb that the U.S. dropped courtesy of Oppenheimer was big, and again, I'm not minimizing the atom bomb. Okay, I'm just talking to you guys. Okay, but Vader drops a cinematic bomb. No, I am your father. We all thought he was dead. We all thought Darth Vader killed Luke's father because Obi-Wan told him that. So I don't know if Obi-Wan was an incredible liar or that was just how he interpreted these events. He didn't want to think that his friend had become this cybernetic monstrosity. So that's what he'd been telling himself, and that's what he told Luke. And Luke's like, no, that's not true. That's impossible because Obi-Wan told me otherwise. And Vader says, sir, you don't have to believe me. Search your feelings. You know it be true. So Vader just lays it out there. He says, all right, you don't have to believe me. Search your feelings. They're not going to lie to you. I remember what Obi-Wan said to Luke in Return of the Jedi. He said, bury your feelings deep down, Luke. He said, they do you credit, but they could be made to serve the Emperor. All right, so let's go back to The Empire Strikes Back like I'm supposed to. I'm going to wrap this up soon because we went a little bit over. Because I'm talking about The Empire Strikes Back. I love Star Wars. I love the original trilogy. The best. Okay. So he says, you can... Then Vader's trying to entice Luke now. He's saying things like, you don't realize you're important. You've only begun to discover your power. Join me and I will complete your training. Not the Emperor. He's saying, I'll complete your training. Because he's expecting Luke to join him. And Luke said, I'll never join you. And Vader's like, if you only knew the power of the dark side. And then he knows Luke doesn't know. I guess maybe Vader felt in his heart that he knew Obi-Wan would never acknowledge that he was Luke Skywalker's father. Maybe he knew that. So he says, you can so he's capping. I mean, not capping, but he's like trying to lure Luke to the dark side. He's like, you can destroy the Emperor. He, the Emperor, has foreseen this. So Vader's not lying here. Even the Emperor said he could destroy us. He says, it is your destiny to destroy the Emperor. Join me, together we will rule the galaxy as father and son. All right? Because Vader cannot defeat the Emperor anymore because of his cybernetic attachments, okay? And based on the Emperor's offense, I'm going to say it right here, I think Vader could have easily killed the Emperor. The Emperor's like 100 years old, originally. That's why he's like all old and sagging in Return of the Jedi. The Emperor was like 100. He couldn't beat Vader. But Vader was loyal to his master. Because let's think about it. If the Emperor tried to attack Darth Vader with Force lightning, Vader can block it with his lightsaber, and we know Vader doesn't need to like he could just had something impale him in the back of his head while he's blocking his lightning. Because remember, the Emperor is as susceptible to his lightning as somebody he's shooting it with. So if Vader's blocking it with his lightsaber, he can just call on the Force, have something stab him in his brainstem. But remember, Vader was still a slave to the Emperor, so it wouldn't have been all that easy. That's why the only person that he possibly could have turned against the Emperor with was his son, who he loved more than anything. He's the only thing he loved. So Luke says, You know, Vader says, "Come with me. It is the only way," and he's wrong. Luke says, "I'll rather die than join the dark side." And when he drops, Vader is like, I mean, great stuff, great movie, awesome stuff. We see that Luke. I mean, Luke is hanging under the edge of Cloud City. There's nothing there, but I didn't see a planet, but I think there is a planet there. But all you see is clouds. So Luke would have died before he would hit the ground. There's nothing but death there. But he chose that rather than joining the dark side. And that just shows you the strength of character that Luke Skywalker had. And it's something for Vader to mull over. Because Vader's thinking, wait a minute, no way Luke will choose death over joining the dark side. And it's forcing Vader to look at the decision he made as Anakin Skywalker of being selfish. His being selfish, his choosing the quick and easy path, cost him to lose everything. Vader. Like, his suit is cool, but it's a life support system. It's like somebody with emphysema rolling around with the oxygen tank. Like, yeah, this is a cool accessory to my outfit. No, it's not. It's keeping him alive. So we're going to wrap it up here, but Vader is left to think about it. This is where the conflict begins in Darth Vader. It's like, I really want to be with my son because he's what I'm not. He's powerful. He did not choose the quick and easy path. And he's strong enough to defeat the Emperor. So Luke is the total object of Vader's affection now. And Vader's affection is awakened. All right? And no, that's not a pun for The Force Awakens. But anyway, this has been my deep dive in The Empire Strikes Back. I love talking about this movie. I love talking about all Star Wars movies that I like. I like pointing out the flaws, okay? I love being objective. I like being unbiased, even in my bias, all right? I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Everybody that left a comment, everybody that thumbed up the video or hearted up the video, whatever they do now. I thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. I'm so glad that Darth Vader Unlimited is going to grow and spread across the galaxy. All right. And I'll see you guys in maybe 2 weeks with, we're going to start with, I think we're going to start with The Rise of Skywalker in 2 weeks. Because now that I finished The Empire Strikes Back, that's the second tier of trilogy movies. So now we're going to go to the third tier. We're going to do it in this order. The Rise of Skywalker, Revenge of the Sith, and then Return of the Jedi. So hopefully I'll remember that. I can't wait to see you guys for my next live stream. Give yourself to the dark side.